Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my precious pack, and welcome back once more to VEGA Conflict. And I'm sorry for the lapse of content and the lack of overall talkative nature around the channel. But I bring you back to showcase some new tech that's been brought into the game, and the minimum version has been pushed. Actually, it was pushed about 8 hours ago for me, but I mean, I'm getting a little bit lazy. I need to break that habit. So let's go ahead and let's jump right into it, and let's take a look at the new weapons, specials. That's basically it, because the ship has been hidden again and I didn't actually get screenshots for it, so yeah, that happened. Again, me being lazy. So let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. As I said, new weapon up first, and it's going to be released with the Ancient Reaper, and it is the Net Missile. It is essentially a net torpedo, but in missile form. You can get level 1 and level 2 as blueprints, and they are tier 8 locked. And what do they provide? Basically no DPS, because they're a stasis-based weapon, 3,500 meters per second, so the second fastest weapon we've had at tier 8 so far, barring the Dyad Beam, because it is a beam weapon. So, what does it bring for us? Well, it has the same weight as all the other items. It's got a 1,500 base range and a 6,500 max range. Alright. 400 meter explosion radius, 50% stasis, a 5-second duration for stasis, and a 10-second cooldown, so you will have a 5-second overlaps where you will not have any stasis applied and you cannot apply stasis to the target again. Okay, so that's a little bit odd, but okay. Level 1 is basically a tuned down version of that, so we don't really need to talk about it. Let's go over to the specials real quick, because this is where the next two items are at. These are the Augments. These are for the Titans and the Fighters. No, you don't get ones for the Rangers, because they don't need them. They're already broken and overpowered enough. So, what do we have in regards to the Vanguard's top special? It'll weigh 4% of the ship's mass. It'll increase acceleration by 20%. It'll increase the top speed going forwards by 120 meters per second. It'll increase all the defense values by 5%, so shields, ablative, screens, anything you got, it's going to increase it. Okay, well, that seems a bit redundant on something like the Ajax, because you get hit in the shields. Well, actually, it would help with bypass and stuff like that to begin with. Okay, so it makes sense on that, partially. Ablative defense, alright, so you only have 5% bleed through, makes sense. Monitor, 5%, so 95% while it's going up. Okay, well, issue with that I see is that when you exit phase space, the issue that you had before is still persisting, and that's the fact that when you exit phase space, you effectively have 0 defense, and you can take heavy damage. And due to target balancing, most of the time the targets for the monitor, you're going to be fighting in clusters of them, so it's not even recommended to use the monitor against its own targets. And a flat-out 10% damage boost. Let's skip over the Vanguard level 1 because it's basically just a tuned down version. Let's jump over to the Spearhead Augment and take a quick look. Right off the bat, we see that the Fighter Special is giving them a health boost. So armor health boost of 30%, stasis resistance of 15%, increased defenses once again. So again, we're getting a defense increase for fighters, just like we had with the Titans, in the form of a 2% bonus. That does not change between the levels, so it's just a flat 2% bonus on all of them. Again, in the case of the Pharmacon one, it doesn't resolve the base issue, that is the fact that when they exit phase space, they still have 0% defense. Most of the damage you take around the time is going to be directed right to your ship, and you're going to take heavy damage. Second, they're giving them harmonic warfare. What you probably couldn't hear is I just smacked my chair out of disappointment, because as far as I was aware, originally they didn't want harmonics to affect the tier 8 stuff, other than something that you brought in with additional ships you had to mix and match. And they're adding harmonic warfare directly to it, so that's a little bit of a disappointment, because that's going against what we were previously told. Second, increase forward speed, but I mean, they're already fast enough that it doesn't really matter. This just means that you have a better top speed, but I'm pretty sure you can't stack these with thrusters. You have a higher rotation speed and a higher strafe speed. Okay, that's something I like to hear. Higher strafe speed for something like the operator is going to be better, especially considering the fact that right now they actually don't have a thruster, so this could basically be seen as something for it. Increased durability as well, and a small mass, which is actually the same as the previous. And that's it, because I wanted to talk about the Ancient Reaper, but as you can see, it's not in the blueprints list. So the original plan was I was going to talk about all of them as the first video for this week while I was getting back into the swing of things, but yeah, it was up. I should have got screenshots while it was up of everything while I was getting screenshots of everything else. But instead they went ahead and they hid it again for some reason or another. But it doesn't really matter because in about 2 days from now, we'll have the ship anyways, and it won't really matter. All you need to know is that it's a blueprint. You're going to be able to build as many as you want, but they're classed as a flagship, so you can only have one per fleet. They have a full 360-degree firing arc. They have a minimum range of 2,000 meters, a maximum range of 11,000 meters. So you could use something like Volt Driver and Beam Capacitors on it to kite the targets, or at least get in the first few hits to get your spawns in, because you need to do 1,000 points of health damage to a target to get the spawns in. So what you could do with that is you could go Beam Capacitor, 2 or 3 volts, or a few of them to be able to get the spawns in, and then Horde, so once the spawns are in, you could go in with the spawns and start picking on the targets and just start getting that respawn going, where you're actively maintaining a large group. However, there is a 20-second cooldown or something like that. The spawns die after 20 seconds from the time they spawn in, so no matter what you do, if you're not actively using them, unlike the previous spawns we've had, they'll just die off. It doesn't even matter what you do. So you have to be aggressive with it, you have to fight, and as they die off, though, you'll receive a bonus, a buff of them of sorts, that's similar to the Orator, in that when it loses its spawns, it becomes empowered. In this case, it gains increased acceleration, increased weapon projectile speed. There was, I believe, a damage bonus or something akin to that. No, wait, I don't think it was damage. It was something else. I don't remember what it was. And I believe that it had weapon disruption. I'm not too sure on that one, though. I wasn't paying too much attention to it, so yeah. Again, it would have been better if I grabbed the screenshots, because then I could just look to them and confirm it. But for now, this is what we have to look forward to in the upcoming week, as we steadily move through the week. So we have a new stasis weapon for Tier 8, which is a missile with 6,500 meters range, and some specials to bring up the power levels of ships that you don't really need, honestly. I mean, even with these changes, would you actually use this with a fighter? No, not really, because you've got Vectors, you've got Valravens, and you've got the Artemis, which is arguably a horrible ship, but we're not going to go there for now. And again, in the case of Titans, again, why do you need them when you could just hammer away at the target with something that's got far more firepower? Again, this doesn't even seem like something we need, because it seems pointless and redundant, because we're not going to really be using that class, because anyone that has the ships, you could use them for your own amusement, but your recommended ships are going to be the Valraven and the Vector for most things, unless you have Dreadnoughts, in which case then it's Dreadnoughts all the way, because all hail the Dreadnoughts. As for the Spearhead Augment, same situation. Again, you're only going to be using 2 types of ships because they're the dominant faction. Even with these changes, let's be honest, they're flat changes and there's not really anything to them. While it would make certain PvP aspects of the game more interesting, PvE is still going to be dominated by the 2 high damage ships that we have. Unless you have Dreadnoughts, in which case then, all hail the Dreadnoughts once more. But that's going to be it for now. I hope that they'll actually put it back in before the end of the day. I'll make a quick video so I can showcase it as well as what it does, but for now, that's going to be it for the step back into the gaming around the channel. I do apologize about the lack of content and especially the lack of activity around the channel. I've just been a little bit busy focusing on a few other things, but we're going to get everything going once more. So, thank you to everybody who's watched. Hope you enjoyed. Hope that this was a little bit helpful. And let's go ahead and let's get some discussions going below in the comment section about what we can do with the new tech. Barring the fact that we don't have the ship blueprint in the game because it was only available for a short time frame to look at, and now we have to wait until it's released. But that's it. Be safe out there, my pack. Happy hunting, and as always, I'll see you later.